just do it with Miami Dolphins. The pressure, he's in trouble. Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle. It's a Dolphin touchdown. Throwing deep upfield on the near side. Man open. Touchdown! He's got a man. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again. Touchdown! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw. Blitz coming. They get to him. No, he takes off running. And he's in. Touchdown, Miami.
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It is your boy Reason, and we're back here for another one as we dive Fin Too Deep. As always, I'm joined by Neal Driscoll as we we'll touch on the Bills a little bit, but as we really begin to shift gears towards Giants week and towards righting the ship and getting to 4-1. You know, Neal, it's funny. I was talking to someone about an hour ago, and I said, you know, because you can notice right now that fans are, I don't want to say disinterested, but maybe not believing is the best term, but you can tell right now because the audience is wavering right now. I mean, you could tell if you watch across the board on Dolphins YouTube, you can watch on Twitter, you can see where it's at right now. People obviously didn't want to hear about, you know, the Dolphins loss to the Bills and didn't want to relive it to a bit, but it's funny because me and this person were discussing it and we were saying, we don't think people get really involved and back to where they were over those first 3 weeks unless these next two games we put up crazy numbers and blow these two teams out. Otherwise, we don't see all of these, whatever you want to, fair weather fans. We don't see them, or non-believers, because there's a lot of people who don't believe because they've been through the ringer the last 30 years. So rightfully so. But we don't see them coming back until we either route these next two teams or Tua puts up crazy numbers in those two games, or the real thing is until we beat Philly. And that's crazy to me, Neal, because we're going to be realistically, the expectations are the standard, and the standard is we should be 5-1 over the next 2 weeks, and we probably will be. And it would be crazy to me if we're sitting at 5-1 and we still don't have people excited and on board because, yeah, we got smashed against the Bills. But I mean, hey, if you looked at the betting lines, teams against the spread and teams straight up coming off big wins like that, we're like 0-7 after the last 7 of them. So, you know, you just look historically, teams get humbled or they crash back down from that high. And it seems fans have crashed farther than the players did. You know, how do you see all this right now? Because it's been a wild 2 weeks if you talk about the highs to the lows.
I would say the last 3 times we've opened the show, it's been more fun. You know, I hear last week said that the Dolphins could blow out the Bills, could win a nail biter, or the Bills could win a nail biter. But the scenario I didn't see happen was a Buffalo blowout. So
yeah, but 99% of this fan base had us as a Super Bowl winner last week. We lose one game, and now all of a sudden we're the biggest frauds walking the face of the earth, bro.
To me, man, it's one of those things. It's like Dolphins Twitter's kind of in mid-season form already, where, you know, like I think one of the things about football is that people forget that the other team tries. The other team makes adjustments. The other team has quality coaches that are in, you know, the lab breaking down film. They forget that Sean McDermott's probably a top 5 to 8 coach in football, somewhere around that range. And when Josh Allen's on, he's one of the best players in football. When Stephon Diggs is on, he's one of the best players in football. Like, look, I didn't see that coming. I guess I'm not as discouraged because I know that this is a marathon, not a sprint. The Dolphins ended the first quarter 3-1. That's exactly where I had them. If they continue that trajectory over the course of the season, they win 12 games. They probably are competing for being the first seed in the AFC, right? Like, that's how I look at it. These big measuring stick games that might make you pat yourself on the back and feel good at yourself. But a win against Buffalo in week 4 versus a win against the Chargers in week 1 or a 70-20 win against, they all count as one win or one loss, right? Like, nothing changes. And I know we want to talk about the history of the Dolphins and how we're always let down. But man, what happened 5 years ago has no toll on what's happening right now. I think, unfortunately, what happens is that people set this bar as perfection of the elite of the
Yeah, they
elite.
expected us to go 17-0.
There are people that thought the Dolphins were going to go undefeated, which to me, I like. You could ask me right now, I will bet my life on the line right now that we're going to lose another football game this year. It's just the course of action. There's only what
I want
200
people to realize this. What is this? Mike McDaniel's what, 10-4 now with Tyreek Hill and Tua Tagovailoa healthy and playing on the same game? They're 10-4 now together. What are we talking about?
Look at the parity in the NFL, right? We're only a quarter of the way through the season, not even a full quarter of the way through the season. There's only 2 undefeated teams left.
And they're in the NFC, which is weak.
Yeah, the Arizona Cardinals, who are awful, beat Dallas Cowboys, and then the Cowboys bounce back and look like a Super Bowl team
And
again
the same Bills we just beat lost to a Zach Wilson-led Jets.
Right. So I think it's like one of those things.
Went down, and it's not like the game planned with Zach Wilson. Aaron Rodgers went down, and they still won.
Yeah, I think as fun as the Dolphins Twitter can be when we win, it's even more miserable when we lose, man. It's hard to be a part of. Like
It's everywhere. It's not just Twitter. You see it on YouTube. You see it on Facebook and stuff too. It's not just Twitter.
Yeah, I kind of try to stay away early in the week because I just wasn't ready for the backlash. And then, you make a comment and you try to put context around something, and every person saying you're making excuses, like this is supposed to be this big game, everything's different. I mean, I don't know about you. I can speak for me. I still view the Dolphins as one of the 3 teams with the best odds to go to Super Bowl from the AFC. So for me, not much has changed. I think this team's going to get healthier. They're going to get better. And accountability matters, man. And, I looked at a stat, Reason, that knocked my socks off, where when you look at the contracts for Emmanuel Ogbah, Christian Wilkins, Zach Sealer, Jalen Phillips, and who else am I missing on the D line? And Bradley Chubb, that equates to $42.3 million in cap space. Over 4 games, they have 4.5 sacks. Andrew Van Ginkel makes $2.6 million and has 3 sacks alone. Like, the defensive line to me is the biggest problem on this football team right now. It's those big name players. Bradley Chubb, I've spent a lot of time defending him. He was one of the best players on the field against Denver. 2 times this year, Chargers and Bills, he's been completely eliminated. Like, if he didn't show up to the football game, he would have accomplished as much as he did in those games, right? Christian Wilkins, man, there were people in this fan base willing to pay this dude $24 million because he was an elite run tackle, defense tackle. He ain't even an average.
People on Twitter like starting hashtags and like trying to start movements for paying Christian Wilkins. Y'all are nuts.
Right. He's not even an average run-stopping defensive tackle through a quarter of the season right now. So there's a lot on some of these players. And, I looked early in the week and I said, coming into the season, these are the guys that I would rank as the top 10 best players on the team. And then I go and I look today, and like 6 or 7 of those guys aren't even on my top 13 list of players performing this year. So your good players got to perform. We can blame coaches, McDaniel, Fangio. The players have to play. Chris Greer can only do so much. Mike McDaniel can only do so much. Vic Fangio can only do so much. At the end of the day, the players are paid very handsomely to make football plays. This Dolphin team looked flat. They looked unprepared. And honestly, this team better start learning how to tackle. Like that, this is like Pop Warner football, watching guys like Brandon Jones and Jerome Baker, like wash, rinse, repeat, the same people.
It's crazy? Deshaun Elliott was out and Connor Williams was out. Connor all-pro after the snap. Deshaun Elliott, him and Holland have been cleaning up the second level because it's been so bad, the linebacker play, and they've just been stacking up the tackles and the stats. But those 2 are out, and in turn, Liam Eichenberg and Brandon Jones have arguably their worst professional career games
right?
in relief for those two key cogs to what we do offensively and defensively. I mean, it's crazy because obviously break down the film and, Liam Eichenberg, this guy, brother, like
Worst.
but we're talking about like near a dozen. We're talking like 8 to 12 plays blown up and dead in the water in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a bad snap, penalty, bad blocking, whatever or bad communication on Eichenberg. Like, that was crazy. Like, Waddle, I'm watching Waddle open, and Tua ain't got time to get to the read of the progression, or Tua make the read of progression, and next thing you know, he's trying to throw off his back foot, running off platform, or running out because the middle is just so compromised. And Richmond talked about it yesterday, man. Like, you can't do, especially for his style of quarterbacking, he loves to move up and maneuver through the pocket. You're taking away all of that. He can't move up, and if he moves out, you're going to run into the waiting arms of Austin Jackson or Lamb doing their job, but you're forced out to that side where a guy's being arced out, and next thing you know, you could be in their waiting arms. I mean, we haven't seen Tua take the kind of hits, let alone the sacks, the hits he was taking on Sunday to this extent over 4 weeks. And obviously, you saw Isaiah Wynn struggled at times. Robert Hunt probably had his worst game of the season so far. The interior was just so bad, and Liam Eichenberg was leading the way and pioneering on how to be bad. It was just awful, man.
I want to say that Austin Jackson, I think, was the best offensive lineman overall in this game. I think he was really the best. But, for Liam Eichenberg, man, like, if he has to go take a whiz at the facility, he should have to pick up the phone and call Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver and ask him if it's okay after what they did to him Sunday, man. I don't know if I've ever seen a player dominated so bad for the entirety of a football game in my entire time of watching football. Not only, I mean, the Bills were smart. They knew Liam Eichenberg sucked. They knew it was his first time ever snapping a ball in a live game setting, or, he don't have a lot of experience. They sent pressure in the gap. But Liam Eichenberg is so unprepared. He's not rosterable. There's no way in hell Lester Cotton's any worse or better than him. I mean, there's just no part for this guy to be on this football team. Cat's got 9 lives. Liam Eichenberg's had more in Miami. It's time to put this guy out into the pasture, man. He hurts this team more than he can help this team. He's not quality depth. He's not even average depth. He's a liability football player.
Okay, check it, Neil. Did you watch the All-22?
I watched a lot of it. I didn't watch the whole game because honestly, man, I got sick.
If you look at where Armstead got hurt, because I didn't notice it. Did you see what happened a couple plays before Armstead got hurt?
No, not before.
A couple pass plays, because I do all the pass reps for Tua.
Yep.
So it was like 2 or 3 pass reps literally. It was like 2 or 3 pass reps before Armstead got hurt. Brother, this guy, his man, I don't remember what happened, but he took his man and he tried to, move him and shift him. It's almost like he expected to pass him off, but Hunt was taking his man and had his back turned. This man drove and dropped the defender on Hunt, on the back of Hunt's legs. Hunt loses his block, and then you know what happens? Falls on Austin Jackson. This guy almost hurt the whole right side of the offensive line, and then 2 or 3 plays later, he injures Terron Armstead. He's the one who Terron Armstead got rolled up on because of him. This guy almost injured 3 of the other 4 offensive linemen the guy's just a complete liability. He almost gets your quarterback hurt. He almost gets your lineman hurt. The guy's a liability. He might be the worst offensive lineman I've ever seen in my life at the pro level. He's up there.
I mean, here's what I think. You think about last year when he played. The offensive line was pathetic. He was ridiculously bad. I mean, we've been talking about this for years, by the way, Reason. It's not even,
but he just gets worse.
He gets worse and worse. Everything goes to shit when this guy comes in the football game. I will say this, though. I am proud of Tua Tagovailoa. I think despite the pressure, there are some throws that he definitely could have made.
Oh, he made, yeah.
But I think Tua actually played a pretty damn good game considering the circumstance. Because, look, you nailed this.
Bro, we've seen games like that rattle the hell out of Tom Brady in Miami when we were getting pressure with Cam Wake and Jason Taylor.
Right,
right?
and I even think on Tua's pick, man, it was like we were down, we are just trying to force the ball and make something
Yeah,
happen.
but if you watch it, if you actually watch the play, it's a miscommunication. He's throwing vertical, and if you watch right before the ball gets there, Chosen looks like he's starting to round it into a dig.
I did not like Chosen's effort, man. He looked lazy. His body language looked lazy out there to me. I was not a big fan of what I saw from Robbie Chosen. I'll be honest. I thought I was the guy banging the drum from in the offseason, and he looked like
Fuck it. What's Ferguson like after the snap?
I mean, for sure, man. I mean, like, and look, you're going to get attacked when you say things like we lost our center for this game and it changed everything. I think this is a case where it had a
It did.
humongous
It threw
impact
the
on the
timing
football
and
game.
rhythm, timing and the rhythm of the whole offense. Tua couldn't get people. That was a McNeil. Oh, McDermott was so good. He forced Tua off the first read. First of all, there's multiple examples of Tua making the throw after the first read. Thank you very much. Second of all, buddy, when you force him off the first read and the interior can't hold longer than the first read, what the hell do you think's gonna happen?
Well, to your point, and I'm not knocking Tua for this because it's not his fault. He had no time to get there. But there was numerous plays where Waddle was open, man.
Yeah.
Wide
I pointed
open.
them out on the All-22.
And he just there was nothing he could have done to get the ball there, man. The timing, it wasn't like, we've seen offensive lines struggle. They can hold their block for a second, then they disengage. Liam Eichenberg is legitimate.
Or you see good block, bad pass pro, good block, bad pass pro, good block, bad pass pro. We're seeing bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. That's what we're seeing. There's no consistency.
Ed Oliver was moving like he was running down the stairs with nothing in front of him. I mean, he was just going.
Jones. Oh my!
God. It is. God, I swear I might even bring out a little little of those little.
They got to bring out the antler spray for Connor, bro, because whatever Ray Lewis was taking, they got to give it to Connor Williams because we cannot afford Liam Eichenberg. And in the meantime, get me a backup.
Yeah,
because Omar comes up here, buddy. He said Alma Ulave looks worse than Liam Eichenberg. Yeah, well,
and dude, that's what we overreact to some of these players that bake the practice while young. This kid from Utah, look, man, if you put him out here, we're all just going to turn on him in 3 weeks anyway. He's not ready for the NFL game. They need a veteran backup. Look, and this is the bigger conversation. It's not worth having today, but the Miami Dolphins' ability to evaluate offensive line is just awful. And you look at who the worst center was, Liam Eichenberg. Not far behind him was our old friend Michael Dieter last week, right at the bottom of the list.
Well, it's hit or miss. I will say the new regime's been more hit than miss because you look at what they did to Austin Jackson. Robert Hunt has taken another step. Look at what they've gotten out of Isaiah Wynn when people thought he would never get to that level of Dante Scarnecchia again. Look at what they got out of Kendall Lamb. It's the fucking remnants of what was here before our new regime came in, right. The Eichenbergs and stuff. Because, look at what they've turned Robert Jones into. Robert Jones is actually more than a serviceable swing guard, right?
Are you worried? Because my answer to this question is yes. Are you worried about Terron Armstead's long-term futures and the Miami Dolphins beyond this season?
Well, let's talk about this because I know this is one of the things you wanted to talk about. My thing is, how the hell are you getting out of it?
You can't financially unless he retires. But do you think there's a chance at 34 years old with his body breaking down, he might just say, this is time?
But with the money on the line, do you see him doing that? Because I was looking at his contract a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, I have it up right now. You can't get out to 2025 at the earliest, and then you're breaking even.
But it's saying his yearly cash. Do you see his yearly cash right now?
Drew Brees did this for the Saints, and I'm not saying Terron Armstead's going to do it for the Dolphins, but he retired at a point in the year where the cap hit was negated, and he left a lot of money, to be frank, on the table. I don't know about Terron Armstead, man, but for his perspective, man, we all talk about this all the time. We know that he's going to break down, that we can't count on him for a full season, and I don't think we ever thought we could. But I'm at a point where I don't know if we could count on him for half a season.
But what the problem is, even when you can get out of him in 2025, it has to be a post June 1st.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you almost break even. Yep.
Yeah. And then next 2024, it has to be a post June 1st trade for you to save anything. And even still, you got over 18 million split over 2 seasons, 6 point something one year and 12 point something the other year. Dude, I mean, he's owed money, so I don't see him retiring. And because he only got 30.1 of his 43.3 guaranteed at signing.
Yeah.
So
How long do you think he's going to be out from this bout? Post-bye?
But here's the thing, like, I get it where everyone's at frustration, but I'm with Kendall Lamb's play right now. He's my least worried.
I'm actually not worried about the position.
I'm where I'm at right now is like, okay, first of all, what we did against the Broncos, especially running the football, that was a lot of it Terron Armstead. All right, let's get that right first. Okay,
he looked elite.
He's top 5 when he's healthy. Where I'm at right now, and I said this with Omar, get him 110% for the playoff.
Hold him to the playoffs if you
with
have to.
Kendall playing the way he is, figure the interior out and get him 110%. You do that, we're good, baby. None of us are going to be complaining about Terron Armstead if he's 110% for that playoff run because he'll be a goddamn beast.
I'm 100% in
Don't force it, man. What Kendall Lamb is now giving you the luxury, something we don't have with Connor Williams, but he's giving you the luxury to let him get, because what I'm worried about with Connor is this going to be nagging because it's a groin? Is this going to be something we're dealing with all season? Because if it is, and even I said to Omar, they shouldn't have got rid of Dan Feeney, and Omar said from what he saw, Dan Feeney was even worse than Eichenberg.
Yeah, and I think that, I honestly think problem solved if Connor Williams comes back. I think the line,
we're good.
I think we'll be good, and then you said, get Armstead where these knick-knack injuries, and look, you can't help it when your center is so bad that he's letting people roll it into your knees, but this Liam Eichenberg thing is it maddens me so bad because I do think there's a responsibility on the coaching staff to say, look, this guy is a liability. Because here's the thing. If that's Tua and it's not Terron Armstead and Tua's out for 5 weeks because of something like that, he not only did he blow up this season, right? One player, he blew up the future of this team because then the Dolphins are going to have doubts about giving Tua a contract. And I'm just thinking this is a realistic thing that one guy not doing his job, not even adequately, not even to a level that's
competence.
It's not. It's exactly right. You can't let this guy sink the entire ship. He's not worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I would have cut his. I'm telling you, I would have sent a message on Monday.
Oh, look, man, that guy would beat the crap out of me. But just for principle alone,
would he? The guy looks like Mr. Incredible, but he doesn't even play like Mr. Mediocre. So would he
get money for charity? I'll go box him in a ring, let him knock my ass out. But
I don't know if he'll knock you out, bro, because I've seen this guy fight in the trenches. He got zero dog in him. He ain't got a kitty.
He honestly, in my fandom of the Miami Dolphins, this is going to be a pretty damn bold take. He's my least favorite Miami Dolphin of all time. It was a guy named Reggie Howard, the corner. I used to hate that bastard. But
now it's Liam Eichenberg.
Oh God, man.
Because you're right. He's just not good enough to even keep trying this, let alone risk what we have.
Nope. He's not worth it because
you know what I mean?
Because there's a lot in front of this team, man. I could care less about this loss. I really can't, man.
I'm good. We're gonna get him in week 18 when the game means more and it's in Miami. I ain't even stressing right now.
Right, because here's what everyone keeps forgetting, and I've heard in Twitter Spaces people try to downplay this player. Dude, Jalen Ramsey changes everything.
Oh yeah,
defense.
Oh
everything.
Yeah. Everything.
He's better than any player on that team, and I don't care if he's at 85%. He's still going to be better. He'll watch at 85%. Jalen Ramsey's better at 100%. Javon Holland. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's how good Jalen Ramsey is.
Well, speaking of Javon Holland, I don't know if you saw it today, but a couple things I want to show here to the folks in the chat. It appears the coaches quietly called out the defense today, Neil, and I'll show you two pieces of evidence of why I think that. One, from Barry Jackson's article today, he said, while none of the coaches were ripping any of them, it's clear that the Dolphins expect more from their Christian Wilkins, Zach Seiler, Raekwon Davis defensive line. On their combined pass rush numbers, 2 sacks, average number of pressures, defensive coordinator Vic Fangio said they need to do a better job of that. We need to do a better job getting them in those positions to do that. Asked about his starting defensive line's play overall, Fangio said our whole defense hasn't been as productive. The unit is not playing up to snuff. both coaching and playing. And I've heard rumblings of him and Campanelli, the linebackers coach, having a little bit of an, not great relationship. Anyways, defensive line coach Austin Clark asked how Wilkins is playing. It's okay. We had 2 games where he played close to the standard and 2 games we haven't. On Raekwon Davis, Clark said Raekwon has been able to align in different spots. How he played in the New England game is how we want him to play all the time. Inconsistencies with the group, I've got to coach him better. There's not a lack of effort. It's got to be more consistent. Now, why does that matter, Neil? I'll tell you why. Because today, after practice, Javon Holland, Christian Wilkins, and Bradley Chubb, they stayed on the practice field by themselves and were putting the work in. And I agree with All Porpoise. I hated John Beck as well. Listen, here's where I'm at with this. They clearly called them out indirectly. I mean, Fangio, I mean, you look at look at how the Bills were winning. I think when it comes to trench play like that, it comes down to pride and who wants it more. And how many times were 4 of them beating 6 of us when we were giving help, right? And, you even say they said Christian Wilkins is okay, had 2 they basically said 2 games he hasn't played close to where they wanted to be. And then Raekwon, they only gave him credit for 1 good game, and it's something interesting to me is a lot of people are asking, is Fangio going to marry what Boyer and Flores did? We saw him get success for that in the 4th quarter of the Chargers game. We saw him get success when they did it against the Patriots late when we had to do it. But he said in terms of the pass rush numbers, they need to do a better job of that, did Fangio. But he also said we need to do a better job of getting them in those positions. Do you think what are your thoughts on the coaches respectfully calling out the players? I mean, Seiler's making that money, and aside from a couple flashes here and there, Ogba's making that money, and he's a ghost town other than 1 game. Christian Wilkins getting continuously washed out and only flashes here and there. $24 million. I don't even know if I'd pay him $16 million at the way he's playing right now. Raekwon Davis ain't getting no extension at the rate he's playing. In fact, to be honest with you, Neil, we are on track for them to let Raekwon and Wilkins walk and rebuild that inside with bigger bodied guys. That's where I think we're heading to. But
I do too.
What are your thoughts on them respectively calling everyone out? The players obviously responding by a couple of them staying a little late after practice. What are your thoughts on this situation right now? Because it goes back to what you said earlier. Everyone is trying to blame Fangio, but when we see fundamental things, basic fundamentals like tackles and angles in open space that we've seen through Flores, through Boyer, through Fangio now, at some point you got to point the finger at the personnel.
Right. Look, I'm going to rip these guys, and then I'm going to give them a glimmer of hope. And I'm going to start with Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb, we paid $100+ million contract to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, the deeper statistics of football showed that he was, generating pass rush, just not getting home. Against Denver, we got excited because, we saw the Bradley Chubb that we saw at prime Denver. But for me, man, like at this point, that guy's Robin, and he needs a Batman on the other side to make him lethal. Like when he had Von Miller, I think he missed Jalen Phillips in this game, and I think Bradley Chubb is going to be good when Jalen Phillips is in the field, and not that great when he's there. I actually think that there's probably.
But I think we should go Phillips and AVG. I think AVG should send Chubb to the bench.
I think when you look at Chubb, there's definitely buyer's remorse. Roquan Smith was the better move. It is what it is. We can't do much about it. And we restructured him. He's here for another 2 years minimum. I just hope we get to see some more Denver-type games out of him. And he's lucky because Andrew Thomas won't be playing for the Giants this week, and he should be able to have a really good day. Christian Wilkins, right? Because
have you heard anything? I know Shane Lemieux and John Michael Schmitz were out yesterday as well. Are they out today again too?
Yeah, they were out today,
so
and Andrew Thomas. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
Yep. And so then Christian Wilkins, right? Like,
yeah.
I said I was in for Wilkins at $16 to $18 million, and everyone, when
so did I. We were wrong.
I'm not now. I'm not now. I'm actually now.
Give me
with
that
Christian-
3rd round pick, baby. Let's go.
You know what? I think they'll. I think they. If I don't think they're going to trade him. I think
You're
they
not
could
going to tag him. You're not going to pay him $22 million for what he's playing.
No, I think that. I think Christian Wilkins, unless something drastically changes, because I think you're right. They're going to get younger, bigger, and stronger on the D line, I think, in the offseason. But Wilkins has really underperformed.
Do you get the feeling it's going to be, other than maybe a few offensive line moves here, it's going to be a very defensive-centric draft I think we're about to head into, bro.
You know what's funny is I think that they're going to draft an offensive tackle in the 1st round, and then everything else is going to be defense. That's what I think. Free agency. So I think it. I don't trade Wilkins. I see that in the comments. Not yet. I play it out to the trade deadline and see, but he's on my scope. Raekwon Davis, man, that guy has just been an underperforming player since we've got him. He never lived up to the hype. He's never lived to the flash that he showed in that one national title game. You know, good.
Well, that first year with Alabama.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. So he'll be gone. Zach Sealer's been disappointing. I expected a little bit more when he's gotten paid. And look, you know, you can't help.
But I think they expect these guys to eat when they get their proper interior personnel. That's what I think they expect these guys to eat, is when they get that figured out.
Yeah, and look, Jalen Phillips has got to get on that football field, man. He's got to play this week, because here's the perfect remedy for a defensive line that was ranked number 1 by some outlets heading the season, is this New York Giants offensive line that gave up 11 sacks to Seattle and legitimately looks like a dumpster fire. Daniel Jones is playing worse than any quarterback in football right now. He is careless with the football. He looks lost. He's literally looks like a deer in headlights on the bench while tablets are flying by.
Well, let me ask you that. On the flip side, do you think Fangio and his defense are potentially salivating at the fact that he's coming to town? Because listen, I don't know if you saw it, but check this out of The Athletic. This little portion out of The Athletic right here about what NFL people are thinking about him. Jones would look better if the Giants' offensive line were not so weak, if running back Saquon Barkley were healthy, if the team had better wide receivers, and if the Giants had faced fewer top defense at this point. I wouldn't want to be playing quarterback for the Giants right now, one offensive coach said. Still, coaches who have watched Jones this season do not see evidence the Giants have faith in their quarterback to operate more than a basic offense. They see a quarterback who limits the Giants' options more than he expands them. Quote, "It's very noticeable how little they make him play like an NFL quarterback," a defensive coach said. "He has the easiest reads and the easiest concepts, and still he does not throw the ball accurately. He doesn't throw to the correct leverage. He doesn't throw the receivers open. Just doesn't do it. I'm giving you zero opinions. This is all the tape shows." The coach cited example after example of misplaced balls, even on completed passes. A completing swing pass to wide open Barkley that the running back had to catch between his ankles in the closing minutes at Arizona was one such play. The placement of a completed pass to Paris Campbell late in the second quarter against San Francisco that prevented the receiver from getting out of bounds to stop the clock was another. When Jones connected with Jalen Hyatt for a 31-yard gain late against the Cardinals, it was a huge play, but the ball placement brought the defensive backs into a position for a near breakup. The guy is open. Just lay it up to him, the defensive coach said of a pass to Hyatt. He makes a competitive jump ball situation. The pick six interception Jones threw against Seattle, which basically that led to, that's when you're talking about the coaches throwing things. Dabble was throwing his surface on the sideline, was among the obvious missteps. And another pick six, the one against Dallas, Jones targeted Barkley on a 3rd and 19 play in the first quarter. The Cowboys had a cornerback position in cloud coverage to smash into Barkley the moment Barkley caught the ball. That's what happened, sending the ball high into the air, and it was intercepted and returned for a touchdown. So as much as Dexter Lawrence might be salivating that Liam Eichenberg might be playing, what are your thoughts on, this Fangio and this defense and Wilkins and these guys? You got a chance to start really getting it going on the interior of this defense. You think they're salivating with Daniel Jones coming to town this week? Or what?
I know they are. And this is the type of game when you just got your ass kicked that you want to have. I don't think Saquon Barkley's going to play.
No, it's Matt Breda, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Matt Breda because I think the Giants would be committing malpractice to put him out there in this scenario. But yeah, I mean, this is an opportunity for this Dolphins defense as a whole to right the ship, and it won't hold much merit against this Giant team, but it gets you another win, and it gets that the juice is flowing because football is one thing, man. Momentum is a hell of a thing, man. When things are going well, things tend to go well. Like, look, for this game against Buffalo, our continuity was broken on the offensive line. It was a dumpster fire, right? Mm-hmm. We had players out on defense that I was hoping that Phillips was going to tough it out and play. I'm just talking, I'll talk for myself personally. Like, so I think when, you see these things. Now, let's talk running back, though, because we talked about Saquon Barkley. I think the best thing that could happen for this Miami Dolphins team is if Mostert doesn't play this week because Devon Achane deserves to be the guy, right? Like this guy, man. I know you've been riding the train, man, right? Like you're steering the ship with the Achane train.
Achane.
I'm gonna stick with it, man. I like rhyming, man. Come on, man. Let me flow. But I just think what I've seen from this guy, man. I think that this dude could change the whole fortune of this season if we continue to ride him, man. He's not just hitting the hole and outrunning everyone, man. He's breaking tackles. The one game he broke 11 tackles, man. Like he's the player I'm most excited about, period, right now on this whole football team. Like I love him, man. Like I think that because is Mostert hurt or is he just getting veteran rest?
Vet rest.
Because I'll tell you, there's a guy.
The conversation to have is Rosenhaus told us, and Rosenhaus is another reason why people think Connor Williams, because he said last weekend that Connor Williams is either going to be good to go this week or next week. But Jeff Wilson's good to come back, and they didn't even open up the 21-day practice window for him.
There's nothing for him here, man. Like, what's he going to do?
Back to Daniel Jones for a second here. I think this is a chance for, I think we can be added. This is a chance for that pick 6. And, Fangio today was kind of, he was saying they were progressing the reps for Cam Smith in practice. And it just doesn't seem like he sold on Cam Smith. But, I mean, the Giants game and, even if it's Andy Dalton out there for the Panthers, these are the games where I'd be getting the reps in.
Amen.
For Cam Smith right now. Because, I like what Cater I like what Cater has done. He didn't look good last weekend, but even we've seen the elite get, Jalen Ramsey last year opening day got absolutely cooked by Stephon Diggs. Even the elite get cooked by Stephon Diggs, and
he's a great player.
Cater just got put on the rotisserie. But with Daniel Jones, man, I think there is a chance for us to create a lot of turnovers, get a lot of 3 and outs, and our offense might be on the field a whole ton. But it's crazy because when you were just mentioning Achane, I don't know if you saw this from today, but did you see what Tyreek said? Tyreek said that Achane isn't even, he said he's not even the second fastest player on the team. This is what Tyreek said.
Why would I say that?
He's got the fastest time, fastest clock.
We're talking about Achane.
What is it?
I don't remember what it is.
His is 21 point what? And mine is 20. And mine is 22 point what?
Okay.
There you go. Now we talking.
Wait a minute. But I thought last week
men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie, don't they? I'm just saying though. You feel me? I've been doing this since what? 2016, baby. I'm the cheater. You feel me? I'm the fastest in the game, and I'm the fastest in real life too, though. Like I don't be talking excuse my language. I don't be talking but you feel me? Like, I'd never let nobody take that crown from me. Like I'm going to hold on to that forever. So, Devon Achane, he fast, but I'm 9.98 fast. You feel me? I'm triple crown high school fast. You feel me? I'm junior Olympic fast. You feel me? I'm Mr. Houston. Nah, let me stop. Let me keep going on. Nah, but Devon fast, though. He definitely, I would say he's like the 3rd fastest on this team, though. We got another kid on practice squad that's pretty fast. Ethan Bonner, white kid, fast. Rolling.
Ethan Bonner.
He ran 22, and Kemp had me like, okay, this dude, okay. I may not call him out in the race.
Thank you.
So he says,
he said white dude. That's the best part.
Yeah. Ethan Bonner hit 22 miles per hour when he was timed.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Tyreek's. That Devon Achane said he's reached 25 miles per hour before when he's been timed. Remember when him, Tyreek, and Waddle were at that camp, and he said, but that's crazy, that Devon Achane now you got me doing it. Achane might be the third fastest guy on the team.
Well, see,
I don't know if I believe that, but
the Giants are a good recipe to get the defensive line going. I think we need to get Jalen Waddle going, man. I think we need to get Waddle going. Make that tandem what it was last year. And I think Tyreek's going to have a huge game, man. Who's going to be lined up against him? It's the kid from Maryland, Deontay Banks, right? That's their number one corner. Dude, I like Deontay Banks. I'm a Terp. I watch every snap the guy ever played in his life. If that's who's covering Tyreek Hill, they should just raise their hand and let Tua throw 9 routes on them all day long. Deontay Banks isn't going to be able to cover Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
As long as the offensive line gives any protection. This should be a game where Tua feast. So, it's a good recipe for us, man. But this team's got unreal speed. We just need the line to give a second. And if Tua has that second, man, he's gonna pick apart most defenses he fights all year long. These next two games, you nailed something, man. Cam Smith should be playing on the boundary these next 2 weeks. He should start opposite of X this week, and let's see what the kid has, man. There's no way when you're giving up 155 yards and 3 touchdowns to Stephon Diggs that Cam Smith should have 0 snaps in the game. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, well, he addressed today, why what they did, and he said, that after saying basically, quote, I just think our defense overall hasn't been productive. He said we gave Diggs a lot of attention, obviously not enough as far as schematically. In hindsight, maybe, but I really don't feel bad about the decision. I have confidence in Cater, and it didn't work out, but the second guessing is justified. And then he was asked if he'd have any personnel changes, and he said he's not considering anything earth-shattering. Now, Fangio said he's still looking at all the different combinations between the slot and the boundary. That could mean that Calvin Joseph or Cam Smith are given a look, but he also said again that he's getting more reps right now is Cam Smith. So he said they're still looking at all the combinations. So I don't know what we'll see this week, but this is when you can flirt with them a little bit, is this week, right? Because you got to find a way you can get Cater back into that slot, man.
Yeah, you have to. Because it gives you 2 strengths and I count the nickel corner as a starting position in this game, right? In the NFL now. So when you look at it, I don't think Eli Apple was playing like he was Darrelle Revis out there, but I also don't think he was bad enough just to.
It's because of the Patriots game.
Yeah.
You could tell it's sending a message, right? You could tell they're sending a message.
Well, hopefully, that one thing I don't like is when coaches are over stubborn. It happens here in Baltimore with Harbaugh a lot. I don't know, man. Let's make sure that we have what we want on the boundary and not just because of if it's a 1 week punishment, cool. Some players deserve that, and players respond to that sometimes. But yeah, man, this game, this is a game that should get the Dolphins right on track. I'm excited about it because I do think the Dolphins will probably be 5-1 heading into Philadelphia. But then there's going to be a million percent pressure on if they lose that game, the world's going to come burning down.
I get the whole thing with Fangio, don't cut off your nose to spite your face, kind of with what you're doing defensively, right? And Knight says Achane out here, Bijan who, and why not?
He's outplaying him. He's outplaying Bijan.
Why not us? Says, well, I think Bijan has more rushing yards
by 7, but I think Achane has 5 more touchdowns.
He's averaging more yards per carry.
Yep.
Too obviously. Why not us? Would you try to trade Wilkins for Donald? Sure. They're willing to do it.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
They're not doing. They're winning right now. All right, continuing on here. We're speaking of that speed. Speaking of the offense, and I don't know if you happen to see this, but Giants DC and former Baltimore Raven man Wink Martindale, he had this to say about Tua Tagovailoa, and he called Miami's Dolphins offense supersonic.
You see a team, this is 2 weeks ago, obviously, with Miami, but when you see a team put 70 points up on another team as defensive coordinator, What's your reaction to that? It just doesn't happen very often.
Well, my wife called me last night before she went to bed. She said she was worried about me. She said, "Are you getting any sleep?" I said, "Yeah, I'm sleeping like a baby. Every 2 hours I wake up and cry and go to the bathroom and try to go back and get some more sleep." I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable. But that's where this league's heading. You know, with some of the other scores, the points have been up pretty high. You know, I think it does. I told our guys, not the players. I told our staff, because we're all old enough to remember the greatest show on turf. This is like that 2023 Supersonic. I mean, they're faster than that. And that's the whole thing that, you know, in preparing a team going into this environment, you know, it's not even turf there, it's grass, and they're still faster, you know, and this quarterback's playing at a high level. I got a lot of respect for the kid. He knows where to go with the football. He's accurate. Gets rid of it quick. And like I can't say enough about Mike because of, you know, the situations that he puts him in, you know, where he can get rid of the ball quick, and he's got those receivers and, you know, the right route concepts and everything else to get it to him quick. And I'm not just saying quick, like 3-yard routes. You know, he's throwing it for receivers come out of breaks, and it's just put right there on him. So, you know, in this game, there's, you know, I told the defense, there's going to be plays made. We just got to, you know, you got to just have that mentality. It's like, here we go again. Let's just try to get a stop. Let's try every play. Let's just try to get a stop. You know, so you know, the more we can get them in third downs, you know, the better off it is for us.
So he basically jokes about how they're keep the defense, the offense in Miami is keeping him up, and a lot of praise for Tua Tagovailoa as well. Obviously with the speed too. You know, I'll be honest with you, man. Other than Fangio, that would have been the only other guy I would have been happy.
I love Wink Martindale. I think he's a great defensive coach, man. I think he's unfortunately, and I think I think they have a good coaching staff. Unfortunately,
tied to Daniel Jones.
They made that, whoever made that decision really put that franchise back 3 to 5 years. To my, like, they're going to be bad enough to get one of the top quarterbacks probably in this year's draft. But, like, can you fiscally do it? I don't know. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. I thought that was great, though, because it is a lot of the respect level that Tua's seeing. Like, I've seen people, like, going to his defense be like, no, he's still the MVP of this league. When I'm saying people, I'm not talking Dolphins fans. I'm talking credible sports writers like Steve Palazzo and stuff saying, no, he's still the MVP. Like, let's not get it twisted, right? Like, I think that's an ultimate sign of respect, is that you go get beat, 48-20, yet the player who's not getting thrown on the bus like previous years is Tua Tagovailoa. So it's good to see he's really locking and etching that self as him at being an upper echelon quarterback in this league, and it's being widely appreciated, I think, by the rest of the league.
Yeah. You know, and they've got some decent, like, they got Bobby Okereke, Aziz Ojulari, obviously Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Kevon Thibodeau, Xavier McKinney, Deontay Banks, like we mentioned earlier, Bobby McCain.
I like Bobby.
Bobby, you remember The Fan? You ever watch The Fan with Robert De Niro? Bobby. Of course. Love that movie. Slept on, classic. But, you know, Wink, man, that defense. And another thing too is that I really respected that he said is, they're going to make plays. You're just going to have to go out there and say, here we go again, and forget the last play. And even he knows, even with that talent we named, we're going to make plays. That's inevitable with how good our offense is. And, man, I just hope our defense, we can find that balance, man. And I think you're going to have a chance to really, you know, try and run that football, man. Run that football.
We're going to learn a lot about this Dolphins team, right? Because for the first time this year, they got punched in the mouth. I'm excited to see how they rebound, because, like, they could go out there and win, right? Sure. Can they go out there and just absolutely, right, put the smack down on them? Like, right, that's what they need to do. I think they need to go insert their will and, you know, let everyone remind everyone that this Miami Dolphin team just put up 70 points 3 weeks ago, and most publications and outlets were projecting them to be the best team in the AFC. Look, it's a small speed bump, man. This is the get back on track. The next 2 games, the way the schedule breaks for Miami for the rest of the season.
Well, I said
is
this.
Beautiful.
I said, have you ever seen this before, Neil? Where we had, after the Chargers game, win or lose, you had 2 games to get right for the Bills. Then after the Bills, you got 2 games to get right for Philly.
Right.
And that stretch, because I think that stretch, you got 2 2-game stretches early on in the season over the first 6 games to get the ship righted, which is rare because usually you don't have a chance to breathe in a 17-game schedule. But I think that the stretch that defines his team, Philly, New England, Kansas City. We're gonna learn real quick because we can go into that 5-1, but Neil, we could come out of that very well. And I know history isn't on Belichick's side, but we could very well come out of that 5-4 or 6-3 instead.
Yeah, I think the Patriots actually is probably an overall easier game than the Panthers game now with Gonzalez and Judon being out.
Come on, they got J.C. Jackson who Tua toasted, bro. What are you worried?
Right.
What do you mean?
Right, but I'll say this. It's so funny just to look at different fan bases, right? The Chiefs played on Sunday Night Football. They jump off 17-0. To be frank, Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs barely beat the Jets. You don't see Chiefs fans panicking about their team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we go beat Bill Belichick in New England on the road.
And Belichick, that's the hardest I've ever seen Belichick try outside of a Super Bowl or a playoff game to beat a quarterback, okay? And we win. Add the context, okay? But no one says anything.
Right. And it's like, and they were disappointed with the win. And that's where it's like, sometimes, man, I just like, sometimes you just got to let this season play out, man. But like, I think the next time we connect, man, we're going to be back on a victory Thursday, which is a good feeling, man. It's a miserable week when your team loses. The only thing I have for me right now is that I got a bunch of Oriole playoff games. I'm going to be down at the stadium on Saturday watching that game. It's a 4:00 on Sunday, so I won't miss a snap of the Dolphins. So I'll probably be late to an Orange playoff game, but it is what it is, man. Like, but I love this team, man. I still believe, I just want to make this clear. I still think the Miami Dolphins are a Super Bowl contender, despite that loss. And I don't feel any less about what I did, except the fact that the only thing that I want to see is that Liam Eichenberg never step on this football field again. That's the only thing. If he goes in the game, there's not many things that will make me feel good about the outcome. Like a team like the Giants, Panthers, sure, but if in a big game, like if we don't have Connor Williams when we play the Eagles and that defensive front, I'm half joking when I say this, but I'm almost like, let Mike White play because that defensive line is going to destroy a guy like Liam Eichenberg. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, listen. All right. Guess what? And again, we keep getting compared to the Rams, right, of 2001. Or we get the greatest show on turf, sorry. Well, when they lost to New England, guess what? They lost 2 games in the regular season that year.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like when they won the Super Bowl in 99, they lost 3 games that year. They didn't go perfect. Not
right.
Everyone wasn't perfect. You know what I mean? Like I just, I don't. And you remember that Minnesota Vikings game when they won the Super Bowl?
Oh my God. Yeah.
They had to win 49-37 in that first round. Right. And then they had to beat Tampa and then second round 11-6. Right, they had the different win. Just like one of the things we were praising over the first 3 weeks was what? How they were winning so many different ways. Right?
You got to be battle tested. You have to be battle tested. You
but
have to face adversity.
Listen, they lost 38-21 to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
That season. All right. Like, the Detroit Lions were 8-8 that year. They beat the Rams.
Right.
The Tennessee Titans, they weren't very good that year at all. Oh, sorry, no, they were. They were 13-3. They beat the Rams, but there you go. Another playoff team from the AFC beat the Rams that year. So the Rams lost to a playoff team. They lost to a team that was 500 when they won in 99. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like they were, buddy, when they lost to Philadelphia, 38-21, Philadelphia had 5 wins that year.
I mean, look, it's only week 4, man. It's going to
Just
week
saying.
5. There's a lot of football.
You know what
man.
I mean? There's a lot of football to be played. They only lost to one legit team that year, Tennessee Titans, 13-3. The other two teams they lost to, an 8-8 team and a 5-11 team. It happens, man.
Right. You got to look at I always like to break the season down in quarters. We're 3-1. We could easily go 3-1 in the next quarter, and then you got to keep going on after that. You go 3-1 each quarter, and you win at least 12 football games. And if this Dolphin team is 12-5, they could have the number 1 seed in the AFC. Like that's how I look at for the season. Yeah, I think they win 12 games. I'm sticking with my season.
No, for this game.
Weekend. Shit. Jeff Saturday stole my thunder. I think we're putting up 50 points, man. I think we're gonna win. I think we're gonna win this game like 50-20.
Oh, you think we're gonna spank them, eh?
Oh, I think we're gonna spank them. I do. And that's a Connor Williams.
And
prediction.
Quickly, give me 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Are you worried about this Eric Isakama neck injury? Because I am.
Yeah, I'm
worried. Because the only thing he was
year.
ever documented in Texas Tech was a concussion in his last season. He missed one game in the Senior Bowl. I went through all my notes. I could only find the concussion. This neck thing, I don't know if it happened in practice, off campus. I don't know where it happened, or if the concussion was a compression from the neck. I don't know. But I never I don't have any neck thing in my notes. So I'm worried.
I'm worried. I don't think he comes back this year, actually. I think he's going to be out for the whole year. I think Cedric Wilson and Robbie Chosen have opportunities to step up in his absence.
That's sad. That's very worrisome.
And they better do it because, I mean, man, like you could see the loss of River Craycraft in this Bills game too. Underrated player, man. Like the guy.
Well, they said today that's their best blocker. They said today that's their best blocker, and when they asked who's your next best blocker, they made it seem like there's no one really as close. Like Welker said, he's been with him for 4 years, and he said River could teach the offense as like what the receivers have to do as well as he can, basically.
Yeah, I agree. But no, that sucks because I think Uzakama was really carving out a nice role for himself on this team. I'm not a doctor, maybe we get some good news, but it's one of those injuries that when you don't get a lot of news and there's not a lot around it, those are the ones that scare me the most, right? Like, because it was kind of senseless. It's like they don't know exactly what the diagnosis is yet.
Yeah, I agree with you. Buy stocks. Over 400 in the room. Smash that like button. He said Buffalo had a perfect game. That will not happen next time, especially in Miami. Don't worry. Week 18 in Miami, they'll be complaining about the heat, and we'll put a drubbing on them when it means something.
And Connor Williams, Jalen Ramsey, and
hopefully Terron Armstead.
And Terron, and a team in week 17, 18 at the end of the season is a lot different than a team in week 4. Like you don't win the Super Bowl in September. It's just
agreed. And Joe says 282 yards with no centers, MVP level stuff from Tua. You ain't lying, Joe. You ain't lying.
No, Tua was very impressive. I think with all the pressure he was facing, he didn't take the big hits. He didn't let his head smash off the ground. You could see that his discipline and dedication to what he's done the whole offseason was paying off, because this is a game where he could have easily gotten freaking put on the ground pretty hard. And it's one of those things, man. But I think we'll be happy, man. This is just what the doctors ordered is the G-men.
Guys, I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern for the in-depth game preview of the Giants and the Dolphins. So be sure to catch that, and I'll give my score prediction and such. Over 400 of you in the room. Please smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new on the way out. We just passed 12,300, so let's get to 13K. Fins up, baby.